Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Jamerson, or JPG, and today I wanted to give a review of my Cyberpunk, what I thought of Cyberpunk 2027. It came out about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer, and I didn't get it until earlier this year in February when they had this $25 sale. That was just before Elden Ring, and I couldn't play it because Elden Ring came out. Um, but I did play a little bit of it around that time, and I wasn't quite sure about I wasn't quite, I wasn't like too happy about the game, cause like the beginning parts was a bit rough, but after a while, after everything settled, I've been, especially after Edge Runners, I've been playing it more, and I've enjoyed the story and the characters in it, and like the gameplay mechanics that it has, and I definitely would recommend people playing this game. So first off, if you don't know what Cyberpunk 2027 is about, it's a game made by CD Projekt Red, the people responsible for all three Witcher games, or the Witcher 3 game that most everybody know about or talk about. But it's about, you play as this character named V. You can choose to be male or female, and you live in this dark futuristic city called Night City, where crime is life, whether you're like a low life, or you're a corporation. Like everybody's out for themselves basically, and obviously you're not one of them. And you start off, you befriend this dude named Jackie, and then stuff happens. Shit happens basically, which you eventually meet Johnny Silverhand, who is played by Keanu Reeves. And that's about all. I don't want to avoid spoiling the story for people, because it's a very story heavy game, and I don't want to give too many details on it, but yeah, there's like I've the story, I've enjoyed it. It's a pretty fun story to go through. A lot of interesting themes. Like for instance, uh, there was a quote that a character said. I can't remember. It's like Aristotle, but basically, like you gotta. The moral of the story is like you gotta know your limits. Like you either gonna go broke, or you like go like reach for the sun, or you're just gonna chill out and like be like a common person or whatever, or live like a quiet life. And like you see that talk about a lot in the game, with story wise. Like a lot of characters are trying to figure out, man, maybe I should leave the city, or I don't know, maybe what are they aiming for in the city. um Speaking of characters, the characters I would say is pretty great. There's a great cast of characters that I like. Um, a couple of them you can romance. Um, but there are a couple that I would interested in romancing, but there was never an option to romance, and I guess that makes sense for some of the characters. But it would have been nice to have. Um, But if there's anything that I would like for CD Projekt Red to add in their sequel game, which they announced a while back, a couple of weeks ago, that they're making a sequel of this, thank God. Um, that they I do wish that they give more romance options, and obviously the people that they romance with, or maybe even have like shared friendships with people. Don't even have to romance them, but you could have more. You can have those NPCs interact with you more during missions. You can call them up to help you out doing like certain missions, or I don't know. It's I just like, once I romance a certain character, like all I would do is like talk to them every now and then. And I do appreciate that, like they would like call me up out of the blue, or text me out of the blue. And we'll just talk, and we'll just see how everything's going. But I would like to like see them more and do some small stuff or small missions with them. It would be cool. Another thing, I guess as far as missions, the mission structures are pretty it's pretty open to interpretation. You can practically do whatever. Most of the time I just like walked in and sneaked in or like hacked my way in. There was rarely times where like I would have to like fight people, and it's mainly just probably because of like the build I had, which is mainly focused on hacking. But like the hacking in this game is super fun. Like I like at a certain point I just laid waste with the hacking. Like no one can touch me. Like I had like something that could like poison them over time, or like overheat them over time, or even blind like multiple people at once, or like just system shut, and like I would instantly get it back. And honestly, I don't even know what I was doing. I don't even know how I got to that point, but I know I got it. But yeah, mission structures, you have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want. And I really had, the only time where like I was restricted is like, I don't know, if I was driving to a certain area I wasn't supposed to, something like that. But there's a lot of freedom in the mission structure. And speaking of like freedom, there's a lot of freedom in like the choices that you have, but the choices that you make do you have consequences? And I did notice, I mean, it's a good thing, sometimes a bad thing as well, because I remember I punched this one character and I found out later that he won't sell me anything after I punch him. So every time I go see him, I punch him, because, you know, fuck that guy. But yeah, I do know you are rewarded for the choices you make and the things you do in the game, because so there's this thing in the game where it's called street cred, and you can just basically it's maxed out. The max level is 50, and I didn't really think like the street cred mattered in the thing, but I noticed that it mattered at like when I got max, and I had this mission where I just sitting in the diner, and these guys just walk in prepared to rob the diner. And so, you know, my character, you know, he just got up and was like, yo, I don't have time for this today. I need you guys to leave. Because if you guys try to rob this place, I'm going to have to kill you. And I don't want to do that because I don't feel like it. You know, and you know, those guys, it's Night City, and they try to like, yeah, they try to, you know, they try to scare me, but you know, they found out who I was. It's like, oh shoot, you're that guy. So let's go leave, guys. And like that was the coolest moment in the entire game. Like to me, that was the coolest moment. It was like, oh wow, all this stuff that I did, I feel like I got like rewarded from that. And like there's moments where like things you do in the past, it came back to haunt you. Like there was another moment similar to that where this group I was friend with, I hang out with, they were in trouble, but I basically used my reputation to get them out of trouble without having to fight the enemy that they were dealing with. And it was pretty cool. And I do wish there was a little bit more of that. But the moments I do feel satisfied from it. And speaking of like, you know, factions, I do wish that there was more interaction with like factions in the story. Like maybe possibly in the next game, you know, because in the game when you first start, you could choose between three lifestyles. It's nomad, which you value freedom, street kid, which you were born and raised in Night City, and corpo, which you're the corporate type of person. You have a corporate background. I do wish in those you have like smaller factions or smaller backgrounds. So like for instance, a corporal, the main corporations that you are dealing with is like Militech and Arasaka and I think Biotechnica is one of the corporations, and like in Night City, there's the gangs like the Tiger Claws or the Maelstroms, and I believe Nomads is like Autocados, and there's one other, I just can't remember the name, but you know, there's a lot of like gangs in there, and I wish to see more of them, or like have more interaction with them, because I didn't really feel like I got that much interaction from them like that, or like they weren't like super involved in the story like that, because I feel like in a game, in this world of Night City, I feel like the gangs or like these factions will have more input in how things are run. I mean, from what they got, it was pretty cool. I just like to see more. So hopefully, CD Projekt Red would add that in the next game. What's another thing? Speaking of like wanting more of, so I did notice that the villains, the main villains of the story, I felt like they were absent until like the end. Like they were there in the beginning, or really honestly, they're not really there in the beginning like that. I would like to see more of them throughout the story. And if you play the intro, if you've seen the intro, the prologue, and what happens, like you'll know who the villain is, and like if you've seen like who's the final boss. Like I would like to see more of those characters, because when I got to the final boss, he didn't seem, I don't know, he didn't, like, I know he was supposed to be this big badass character, but he didn't really, I don't know, I wasn't too intimidated by him, honestly. And plus by that point, I kind of like ran through him. Like I said, I was practically almost max leveled with everything. Like I could have punched him, or I used the monowire. Oh my god, the monowire! Oh, that is a broken. That's a broken cybernetic. And also, by the way, cybernetics, you can like upgrade your character with like special gear. So like, you know, they have this monowire that it's like a string that comes out of your hand. You just swing it around like a whip. That is a broken arm cybernetics. And there's also gorilla arms, which is like super greatly. It just demolishes people. I remember there was this fight where there's this mission where I was fighting some guy, and it was one of the missions, was like a fight club mission, and I got to the last dude. It was this big black dude that's like real buff, and you know, and he's like a real tough looking boxer, and he had like a bunch of cybernetics with him that made him even bigger for what like you would expect him to be. You know, he was talking mad shit to me. The person that set me up with the fight, he's like, hey man, you might want to like take the fall and get some money out of it. I'm like, hell no, I came here to fight. And so I had those gorilla arms that I was talking about, that's super OP. And so we go up to the stage and fight. I took this dude out in like under 30 seconds. I'm like, bro, these things are broken. And I wish I could have talked shit to him. I was like, yes, like, you're garbage. You're garbage. It's like, it wasn't even a challenge. And I know a friend of mine said, like he died, or not died. He lost that fight. But I was like, oh my god, I demolished this man. And it's just great. It just goes to show that, you know, this game does reward you. Like when you're putting the effort in the game, you are greatly rewarded in the end. And I think that's one of the things that that's one of the reasons why I recommend getting this game, because this game does reward you for putting time into it. And like you'll feel damn good when you get rewarded, because it's great. What's any other grievances I have with the game? I mean, not really. The game could be like a bit glitchy at times, but not to the point where like, you know, it's game breaking. But it's like funny glitches and whatnot. Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, I definitely recommend getting the game. I'm not sure what the price is right now, but I would definitely try to get it out. It should definitely be lower than what it used to be. It might be a little bit higher than what I got it for. But like I said, definitely check it out. Check this game out. It's worth buying. Thank you so much for listening to me, like, give my opinions or like my review of Cyberpunk 2077. And like I said, it's a good game. It's a great game. There's a couple of things that is holding it back from being perfect for me. Like I said, like there's some parts where like you know, I felt like the villains could be more present to make them more threatening. And I mean, I guess there's a couple of more, like, the endings that I've seen, because I got the star ending. And I would like more romance options, and, you know, more interaction from those characters, see more involvement from the factions and gangs of the world. And I do feel like the story, actually, now that I think about it, I think the story is a bit short, in my opinion. If you're just doing the main story missions, I feel like it's a bit short. Because at a certain point, I did this one mission I was holding off for like a while, and when I did it, I found out that like the next mission was like basically the point of no return mission. I'm like, I just started the game. Or like I felt like I just started the game. I was like, man, and then that's why it was taking me so long to like beat it, because I was like, let me go do these side missions before I do this mission. And like once I did those, like I just went ahead and did the side mission. And I do feel like the story could have been a bit longer, and maybe that's because they had a hard time. It was like they had trouble with development, and there's probably stuff they couldn't add, or they could add, but or they weren't able to add because of a pandemic and stuff like that. But in conclusion, like I said, this game is great. I definitely would suggest you know, checking it out, getting it if you're able to, any way possible. Besides pirating, I definitely think at this point the developers deserve it. The game, they have their only expansions coming out next year, called Phantom Liberty. I'm going to check that out. So, and I probably give my review of that one as well. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening to me giving my review of Cyberpunk 2077. You know, if you like it, hit the like button. Let me know what you like about Cyberpunk 2077 if you played it, or like what you think of it, like even if you haven't played it, or what you think of the anime too. And if you play the game, what do you hope to see in the sequel? Yeah. So also, you know, if you like my stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all that usual on YouTube or BS stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.